The movie starts in 1929. The world is facing tough times after World War I, with bad economies and the rise of fascism in Europe. Dr. Friedrich Ritter, a German thinker, and his wife Dora decide to leave Germany. They move to Floriana, an empty island in the Galapagos. Ritter wants to live a pure life and write a new philosophy to save humanity. He sends letters to passing ships about his isolated life. By 1932, Margaret Wittmer, her husband Heinz, and their young son Harry are inspired by Ritter's letters. They sell everything and travel to Floriana. They find Ritter and Dora. Heinz shows Ritter a newspaper saying Ritter's letters made him famous. Ritter just says he came to be alone, but still shows Heinz his garden. He explains they are strict vegetarians and grow their own food. He talks about how hard it was to clear land and find water. He asks Heinz why they came. Heinz explains Harry has tuberculosis and they couldn't afford treatment, hoping the island's clean air would help. He also heard Dora recovered from an illness, but Ritter won't share his methods, saying it's for his book. Meanwhile, Dora talks with Margaret, calling her a child bride because she's younger than Heinz. Margaret clarifies Harry is not her son. She's Heinz's second wife. Dora warns Margaret about dangerous animals and says Ritter dislikes her caring for their donkey. Ritter takes the family to a basic cave for the night, pointing out its small water source. Dora tells Ritter she doesn't like the Wittmers and reminds him they came for isolation. Ritter then reveals his true cynical plan. He put them in the caves hoping their suffering would prove his philosophy. For the next few days, Margaret's family works hard to start their new life. Heinz is determined, but Harry and Margaret struggle. They have bad nights with mosquitoes. They dig a pond to collect water, even working in the rain, which makes Harry's breathing worse. One night, Margaret tells Heinz she's pregnant. Heinz is happy, but Margaret worries about raising a baby there. They hear noise. Wild dogs are eating their food. Heinz scares them off, but most supplies are gone. The next morning, Margaret asks Ritter and Dora for food, but they refuse, happy the family is suffering. While Margaret's family moves their things, a ship arrives. Baroness Eloise von Wagner, a flamboyant woman, arrives with her two lovers, Rudolph and Robert, and her servant, Manuel. She plans to build a resort. She and her lovers swim in the sea while Manuel scares off dogs. Eloise then visits Ritter and Dora. She expects Dora to kiss her hand, but Dora just shakes it. Ritter comes out without clothes. Eloise calls him a tamer of nature and says he's famous. She asks about water and Ritter shows her a source. Soon, Heinz and Margaret find Eloise and her men swimming in their pond, which is their drinking water. Rudolph gets aggressive, but Eloise calms him and apologizes, saying she needed to wash off salt. She tells them about her resort plans and says she'll use their pond until her men build a well. She gives them mail, some for Ritter. Ritter gets angry, realizing Eloise opened his mail. He declares this is war. Heinz visits Eloise, who has a captured wild dog for security. He asks why she tried to turn him against Ritter. Eloise says Ritter started it by sending her to their pond to make them leave. She shows him a newspaper about her exclusive resort for millionaires. A few days later, Eloise passes Ritter's house and calls him Dr. Pig. Ritter yells at her, and she repeats pig many times. At the same time, Heinz finds a cow and locks it in their cave, celebrating they have milk. By spring, Heinz finishes their house and Margaret harvests vegetables. Eloise arrives with her men, camping next to them until her resort is ready. Margaret, pregnant, asks for peace, but Eloise says babies need community. That night, Eloise and her men party loudly, annoying Margaret's family. One morning, Ritter finds a pig ate all his vegetables. Later, he hears Heinz hunting with a rifle. Ritter visits Margaret's family, upset they are doing well. He trades chickens for a cow's head. Margaret asks Ritter for help with the birth, but he gets angry, saying it won't end well. That night, Ritter cooks the cow head, a shock to Dora, who reminds him they are vegetarians. They argue, blaming each other for their troubles. Rudolph tries to find clean water, but fails. He returns to camp, annoyed by Eloise and Robert. Eloise demands food, but Rudolph says supplies are gone. Later, Margaret starts having contractions. Robert and Manuel sneak into Margaret's family's cave to steal supplies. Margaret leaves the house, screaming for help. The men hide. She collapses, then goes back in to prepare for birth. Wild dogs, smelling blood, surround Margaret. She fights them off with a broom. Back at Eloise's tent, Manuel wants to help Margaret, and Rudolph agrees, but Eloise stops them, saying they only help her. Margaret's water breaks and she screams, giving birth with dogs around her, holding her newborn close. Harry and Heinz return, scaring the dogs away with gunshots. Margaret thinks the baby is dead, but Heinz pats him until he cries. Margaret passes out. Heinz runs to Ritter for help. Ritter resists, but Dora forces him. Ritter performs a painful procedure, removing a stuck placenta, saving Margaret's life. Manuel, spying, reports to Eloise, who asks why he didn't stop the doctor. Manuel calls her evil, saying he's a builder, not an attacker. Margaret's family lives peacefully. Harry's health improves. One afternoon, Eloise gives Margaret a can of food for the baby, apologizing for Manuel, claiming he was a thief and she sent him away. She holds the baby and invites them to lunch. Heinz refuses, not believing Eloise's story, knowing she planned the robbery. Margaret convinces him to go, fearing Eloise's anger. At lunch, Eloise performs, only Harry enjoys it. Ritter, with fake teeth, reveals he removed his real ones to avoid infection. Heinz keeps saying the food is stolen. Eloise tries to talk about the baby's birth, but others change the subject. Eloise makes passive-aggressive comments. Ritter snaps, revealing Dora can't have children. Dora tries to leave, but Eloise's dog blocks her. Eloise calls the dog off, and Dora flees. Ritter screams at Eloise to leave his island. Eloise shows papers from the governor saying she owns the island. Everyone retreats. At home, Ritter offers Margaret's family food for a rifle. Heinz confronts Margaret about Eloise's hints. Margaret admits she married him to escape her bad home. That night, Ritter shoots the pig. In summer, a drought dries Margaret's family's pond. Ritter writes, but gets stuck. Rudolph, starving, begs Margaret's family for food. They feed him. He reveals Eloise's true story. She's not a Baroness. Her title, accent, and stories are stolen from movies. Her parents disowned her for shopping too much, and she worked as a dancer in Paris. Rudolph returns to Eloise, who is frantic for cigarettes. Smelling food, she yells at him. Rudolph insults her. She slaps him, and he slaps her back. Robert beats Rudolph. Later, Ritter's friend Alan arrives on a yacht with supplies and a film crew. Eloise sees him as a solution. That night, Alan hosts a dinner. Margaret cries from the music. Eloise fakes tears. A volcano erupts, a dramatic sight. Ritter, fearing Eloise will corrupt Alan, steals her food. Dora tries to stop him, reminding him of their principles, but he ignores her. Eloise tries to seduce Alan privately, faking pain and attempting to use his hand for pleasure. Alan laughs, saying he knows she's not rich, and leaves. Next morning, she watches Alan leave, losing hope. Ritter discovers his supplies were stolen. He visits Margaret's family, demanding they choose sides. Ritter and Heinz arm themselves and confront Eloise, accusing her of theft. Robert pulls a gun. Margaret and Harry step between them. Furious, Ritter shoots his typewriter, upsetting Dora. He goes hunting, taking their last fresh food, leaving rotten food for chickens. Rudolph dines with Margaret's family. Eloise finds him and offers food and clothes if he leaves. He kisses her and asks what he can do. Suddenly, Margaret's family hears a noise. Heinz rushes out with a rifle, shoots, and finds he's killed Dora's donkey. Rudolph watches from shadows. Next morning, Dora finds sick chickens and her donkey gone. Margaret's family tells her the animal was killed. Dora collapses in grief. Heinz tells Ritter the truth. They argue, then see Robert spying. They agree to act. "You were right," Heinz tells Ritter. "It's time to choose sides." In the woods, Ritter and Heinz find Rudolph. "She made me," Rudolph confesses. "She told me I could go home." Heinz returns, asking Margaret and Harry to collect grass for the roof. The men then confront Eloise. Robert attacks them, overpowering Ritter and Heinz. Rudolph stabs Robert's hand. Robert turns on Rudolph, but Heinz intervenes, repeatedly stabbing Robert until he dies. Eloise emerges, hugging Heinz, pretending to be a victim. When no one believes her, she offers to share island ownership. Ritter shoots her in the head. Margaret hears the shot. The bodies are thrown into the sea. The men agree not to tell their wives. That night, it rains. Margaret comforts a guilt-ridden Heinz. Next morning, Rudolph pretends to find a letter from Eloise, saying she and Robert left. Dora is suspicious, seeing Eloise left much behind. Ritter buys Eloise's items from Rudolph for money, revealing he wrote to the governor. Margaret confronts Heinz, warning Ritter will blame him, so they need a plan. Dora tells Ritter she's leaving him for ruining their cause. Ritter, furious, pulls out her rotten tooth with pliers. Dora, injured, walks into the woods and finds Margaret, who reveals Ritter killed Eloise. Margaret warns Dora Ritter is dangerous, but Dora, loyal to her cause, ignores it. Margaret gives her healthy chickens, warning not to cook sick ones. A ship sails nearby. Rudolph jumps into the water, offering money for a ride, and is rescued. Dora returns, finding Ritter writing. To celebrate, she cooks the sick chickens and lets Ritter eat, pretending her mouth hurts. Hours later, Ritter is in terrible pain. Dora seeks help from Margaret and Hines, but they can do nothing. Dora only wants witnesses. Ritter curses Dora, then dies. In autumn, the governor arrives with soldiers. Eloise's murder is in newspapers. Ritter's last letter accused Hines. Dora confirms it, but Margaret tells the governor Ritter was murdered too. She exposes Dora's betrayal, explaining Ritter's poisoning was from sick chickens Dora gave her, implying Dora's conscious choice. The governor arrests Dora. He offers Margaret's family passage, but Margaret says they're happy alone. The film ends. A true story. Eloise and Robert's bodies were never found. Dora published a book before dying in 1943. Margaret published her own, contradicting Dora. Rudolph never reached mainland. His body and the captain's found later. Margaret lived on Floriana until 2000, aged 96. Her descendants run a small tourist hotel there today. I hope you enjoyed this recap. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. And as always, stay well, stay safe, and thanks for watching.